Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about how to master the progression run to build your Run Disney pacing buffer. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for slow, back of the pack Run Disney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong, have a bigger buffer ahead of the balloon ladies, and have time to stop for character photos. Keep listening if your goal is to PR in fun, cross the finish line without feeling broken, and have energy to enjoy the Disney parks. I'm all about getting faster. And in recent episodes, I have talked about staying out of the gray zone, making sure that you are running fast on your speed workout runs, running slow on your easy long runs. And today I want to talk specifically about the progression run. The progression run is one of 4 speed workouts that I recommend Run Disney runners who are doing run walk intervals utilize to get faster. There are so many different ways to get faster that you find one that works for you specifically. I like these ones that I talk about because they work so well for Run Disney runners. They work well for me. You don't need a track for it. You could do it outside. You could do it on the treadmill, and you don't need like different distances that you need to go by, right? Like I go by run walk intervals. So I go by time for these as opposed to, do 400-meter repeats. I don't know how far 400-meter is outside my home. I don't know how far 400-meter is on my treadmill. Could I figure it out? Absolutely. I could do that math. Somebody could do that math for me. Royal could do that math for me. I could figure it out. I don't want to. That mental math to me is killing the vibe of the workout that I want. I just want to do some running so that I can get faster. And I know my runners in Stronger, Faster, Finisher, my runners in Back of the Pack Runner Speed Program, runners in my audience, I know they want the same thing too. We don't want the mental math. Tell me what to do and I'm going to go do it. Tell me how fast to run. Tell me how long to run. Tell me how long to do that for. How many times in a row do I do that for? Just tell me what to do and I'm just going to go do it, because as soon as it takes my mental capacity, I'm out. And that's to say for something that's not part of my forte. This stuff, this is my forte. The running coaching, the progressive overload, this is my wheelhouse. My brain loves thinking about this kind of stuff. But let's not make it too hard, right? Like I don't need to figure out the 400-meter dash or whatnot, right? But this might not be your forte. And so as soon as you have to start thinking about how far is 400 meters, how far is 100 meters, how far is this, how fast is that, done, checked out, it's over. So I've done that for you. And you don't have to do 400-meter repeats. Why do other people do it? They do it because they likely started running when they were younger and they did track and field, they did cross country, and they still go to a track and they know, okay, this many times around the track is 400 meters. I don't know that information. Somebody listening to this podcast might be like, Allie, you're so dumb. You don't know how many times around a track is 400 meters? No, I have absolutely no idea. And to be frank, I don't care. I don't care. I don't need to know that information. I never did track and field. Running was my sports punishment. I started running later. I started running when I was in college to lose the freshman 15 and to study at the same time in my physical therapy degree. I've talked about that in other podcast episodes. If you're interested, let me know. I'll make a whole new podcast episode about it. But running was not my main sport when I was younger. And so I don't know all of these different fartleks and 400 meters this and 100 meters that, and how many of these different repeats to do. So if I'm not going to do it myself and I haven't had some success with it, I'm not going to program that for my runners. So that's where these 4 speed workouts that I talk about, the hills, the 30, 20, 10, the progression run, and the tempo, my version of a tempo run, which I'll talk about in another podcast episode, that's where these come into play. I base it on your run walk intervals. You can do this progression run no matter what run walk intervals you do. So I use 30-30 as an example for most of my podcast episodes because I'd say 80 to 90% of runners I interact with use 30-30 run walk intervals, or at least start with it. They may change it over time, and that's great. I highly recommend find a run walk interval group that works for you. If you like 30-30, love that for you. If you like 60-60, 45-45, 45-30, 30-45, 30-60, 60-30, 15-30, 15-60, 16-60, 15. Whatever grouping you like and feels good for you, I love that for you. And these speed workouts can be done no matter what your run walk intervals are. And so I do talk about 30-30 a lot, and I do have most of my speed workouts programmed that way. Like the hills speed workout, I do recommend 30 seconds. For a 30-20-10, you do need 30-20-10. But tempo can be your own, progression can be your own, and you potentially could change a hill to be something different. We're not going to talk about those ones today because today we're talking about progression run. So I should not get off topic. But progression run, when I'm talking about progression run, it's a green workout, right? We talk about pink workouts. We talk about green workouts. We talk about pink paces, pink miles, green paces, green miles. This is green. Green means go. Green means hard. Green means fast. This is testing your upper limits and hopefully exceeding them, either exceeding them with the actual number or exceeding the length of time you're doing fast paces for. Okay, let me explain. The way the progression run is set up, it's set up like a pyramid or a ladder where you progressively, see that word progression, progressively go faster and faster. You hit a peak in the middle, and then you start going down again. You're using your run walk intervals. So you're using 30-30 run walk intervals. So every time you have a run interval, you're starting at one pace, and then every time you go, you're getting faster and faster and faster until you hit a peak. If you're doing 30-30 run walk intervals, that peak will be about your 12th, okay? And then you're going to come back down. And you progressively get slower and slower and slower. So you're going to start at one pace, and then you're going to hit your peak, and then you're going to come back down. You want to start in a pace that is already close to your upper limits so that you have a better chance of exceeding your upper limits. Now, this is where the run walk interval, doing it with what run walk interval you do, comes into play. Because if you're exceeding your upper limits, we don't want to be exceeding your upper limits for a longer amount of time than you pace tested for. Remember, for the pace test, you're doing your hard paces and your moderate paces in your 30-30 run walk intervals, you're doing those paces in the intervals that you normally do. And then you're going to translate that into the progression run. So if you tested at 30-30, you don't want your progression run to be a minute of running because you didn't test that. We don't know what those numbers are. The longer the run interval time, the slower overall you're going to go. So your hard pace at 30-30 is not your hard pace at 1 minute, right? So you want to make sure that it matches with what you pace tested or is shorter. It could be shorter. If you pace test at 60-60, 1 minute, you could do a progression run that's 30-30. That is okay because the progression run is really hard. There have been instances where I haven't been able to hit my peak or I haven't been able to complete a progression run. Now, it's not because of the paces. It was external factors like fueling and blood pressure and heart rate and heat and things like that. But you want to line up all of the ideal situations for you to have your best chance. Now, of course, there are instances where you can do all of the right things and it still doesn't happen. That's okay. That's part of the 30-30-30, right? 30% of the time, or 33% of the time, 30% of the time, the run is going to feel pretty good. Not good, not bad. 30% of the time, it's going to feel awesome. And 30% of the time, it's going to feel awful. That's okay. Not all runs are going to feel great. Not all runs are going to feel awful. And if you have too many that feel awful, something needs to change. If too many feel great, you're probably not going fast enough. Okay. So when you're doing this progression run, pick your pace. And in Stronger, Faster, Finisher, I tell you what pace I recommend you start at so that you can hit and exceed your upper limits. But you'll know based on your pace testing that you've already done, start it at least at your moderate pace test and then go up, up, up. Because your moderate pace test is going to be toward that upper limit. It should be one of your top 3 paces that you're hitting. And so then when you go up, 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 you are likely to hit your hard pace and exceed it. And that's why it's so important to make sure you're doing the same run walk intervals, because you don't want to be hitting your hard pace or beyond your hard pace at a longer run interval, because that's not the same. You likely are setting yourself up for failure for that one. And so you'll go up, up, up. Once you hit the halfway point, you will come right back down and you will progressively come back down. So you're going up by 0.1 mile per hour until you hit your peak, and then you're coming back down. The reason this works is because now you are practicing running faster for longer periods of time. You don't get faster by running, your hard pace one time at 30 seconds. You have to keep doing it over and over and over again. Basically, we want your heart rate to stay in its upper zone for a prolonged amount of time, but give yourself a break. So it's more important to hit those upper limits, hit those speeds in your speed workouts and recover the way you need to in order to keep hitting that speed that's designated in the workout. And even though you're giving yourself that walk break, your heart rate is still going to stay elevated. So then the next time you do your run interval, you aren't starting all the way back down at your resting heart rate again. It's already starting elevated. So now you're practicing running at this faster pace progressively over and over and over again so that you keep your heart rate high. And I recommend doing it in shorter bouts, because that's where you're going to see the most change, because you're going to have given yourself enough time to rest from your long run, from your other speed workouts, to give yourself these short bursts so that you can keep getting faster on these short workouts. And then over time, week after week after week, month after month after month, you will have new hard paces. And so you will keep surpassing your upper limits, because every time you pace test again, these numbers change. So every 8 weeks or so, you're starting at a new pace for this progression run. Because if you're starting at your moderate pace, the chances are that your moderate pace is changing with your pace test. And so then you start at a higher pace, even if it's 0.1 mile per hour faster, that could be a significant amount of change, because now you're getting 0.1 mile per hour faster at that peak. And you're practicing that over and over and over again. And then that translates to improved fitness overall, which then translates to when you're on race day and you can run faster. I really like the progression run because it sets you up so that you can start off your race at a slower pace and progressively get faster. So you can, as the minutes or miles go by on the race, you can start off at an easy pace, as an example, and then get faster and faster and faster to make sure that you don't go out too strong and gas yourself out, right? That's the age-old thing that we all hear when it comes to race day. Don't go out too fast right out the gate, because you might hit the halfway point and you can't keep going. Right? We don't want to do that. So the progression run is a great way to practice starting off at a slower pace, not necessarily a slow pace, but a slower pace than what you're going to hit at the middle. and then you can come back down. So on race day, you can start off at your easy pace, and then at regular increments, you can get faster and faster and faster. And if you hit that halfway point and you're like, okay, well, I don't want to keep going too fast, now I'm going to just slow it down a little bit. Or you can use the progression run in the middle of a run and literally for 25 minutes at a time, which is the time for a progression run, by the way. You could just for 25 minutes, I'm going to get faster and faster and faster and give myself just a little bit more of a buffer because I waited for 10 minutes for that super rare character and now I need to make up time. And so you can get faster and faster and faster. Whereas if you just, did that 10-minute wait in the character line and you're like, oh my God, I need to make up 10 minutes and you just try and sprint for 10 minutes. Well, that's not going to go well because your body just naturally, we can't maintain a super fast pace for us for 10 minutes at a time. But we could slowly increase it over time. And that's what you're practicing for. So you can practice this kind of race day strategy in one workout. And it will have multiple effects. It will get you faster because over time you will be exceeding your upper limits to get faster for a short amount of time. One other problem that I see runners have is they think, oh, I need to go out and run a whole half marathon at this pace, like a whole 13.1 mile training run at this pace. And that's massive, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you cross the finish line at a marathon? One step at a time. How do you get faster? One run interval at a time. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, this whopping goal, desire, need 13.1 miles at this massive pace, let's just think about the 30 seconds we have right now. I can do anything for 30 seconds. I hear that all the time. I can do anything for 30 seconds. You can. Absolutely. Focus on this one pace for this 1 30-second chunk. And over time, that 30-second chunk will have been 25 minutes worth. But we don't think about the 25 minutes worth at a time. We don't think about the 13.1 miles at a time. Think about the 30 seconds that you have right in front of you. Focus on that one. And over time with practice, because remember, nothing is just takes time. It takes strategic effort over time. But if you keep practicing this week after week after week, you will notice massive changes in your paces. So this progression run is progressively getting faster every run interval you have. Always start with a 10-minute brisk warm-up. You can then add in an easy run at the beginning and then do 4 rounds of run-walk intervals with a 1 to 2 minute recovery walk break in between each of those 4 rounds. So you'll have 5 minutes of run-walk intervals plus a recovery for 2 minutes. So it's 3 minutes of run, walk, then 2-minute recovery. Do that 4 times and then end with a cool down. That's how I recommend you get faster. In the beginning of your progression run, those paces are going to be so deceptively easy. You are going to question, did I start at the pace that Allie told me to start at? You did. And even if the whole thing feels easy, which I really don't think it will, but let's just say it does, wait until the next time you do that to increase your paces. And if that is true, increase your pace by 0.1 mile per hour or 0.2 mile per hour or something like that for the next time, okay? Don't increase your pace in the moment. And during your walk intervals, go super slow. It's more important to hit the paces during the run interval during this particular workout. So for the walk interval, for the recovery walk, go super duper slow. Every run has a purpose. The purpose of this one is to get faster and get faster during the run interval. It's not time to also get faster on the walk interval. It's not also time to change your run walk interval time. It's not time to go from 30 seconds on the pace test to a minute during the progression run. Aim to get faster during the run interval with practice over time. You're not going to get faster in one session. It will take 6 to 8 weeks of continued practice, but save trying to get your walking interval faster for a paced walking activity. Save trying to change your run walk intervals for a long run. Don't try and do that during the progression run. You can have it all. You can't have it all at once. You can do it all. You can't do it all at once. When you try and change multiple things in a workout, no matter what the workout, you're not going to be able to change any of them. You're going to be frustrated. You're not going to be consistent because it's going to be frustrating. We don't like staying consistent and keep doing things that aren't helpful to us, that we don't like. So stick with the progression run, trying to get faster during the run interval portion. And each run interval is a little bit faster until you hit that peak halfway through, and then it's coming back down. Continue listening to the podcast for more tips. I'm going to continue talking about how you can improve your pace over the next couple of weeks.